Welcome to The Needle, your Division I college basketball podcast. I'm Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. On this podcast, we present to you weekly conversations on D1 college basketball coaches and their teams. Don't forget to go right now on your computer, phone, or tablet and follow us on Twitter. This episode of The Needle is brought to you by D1CoachCorner.com, your source for Division I college basketball coaches.
Thank you for tuning into the 29th episode of The Needle. Again, my name is Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and prediction. D1 Coach Corner is the number one source for college basketball preseason predictions and college basketball coach evaluations. The Needle College Basketball Podcast will bring to you 52 weeks of college basketball talk on topics dealing with Division I college basketball coaches and their teams. In this episode of The Needle, we will be ranking the Big Ten Conference for the 2019 and 2020 season. And then we will get into some college basketball news and our new Coach Impact segment of the show, which will highlight coaches who have recently taken over a team and who has positively impacted that team as a result of him being there. If you like our show, go subscribe to our iTunes and YouTube channels. Let us continue to be your number one source for preseason college basketball predictions and coach evaluations. As a disclaimer, some teams are still in the midst of building and still have scholarships left available to fill. With that said, we may more than likely have to do an update before the start of the 2019-2020 season, and some rankings may change. Some schools still have scholarship left available to spend. Illinois has 1. Indiana has 2 scholarships left available. Iowa has 2. Michigan has 3. Minnesota has 1. Northwestern has 2. And Wisconsin has 5. So I've been looking over the teams in the Big Ten this month, and after a careful review, I came to a conclusion on this conference. The Big Ten was an 8-bid conference in 2019, the most of all conferences. 3 went deep into the tournament. Michigan State went to the Final Four. Purdue went to the Elite 8. And Michigan went to the Sweet 16. For some reason, I don't think that we're going to get 8 bids out of the Big Ten in 2020. This conference doesn't seem as strong as it did last year. Strangely, there is no movement in recruiting for the 2019 and 2020 for Wisconsin. I believe that Coach Gard is taking a gamble on the 2020-2021 season. And Michigan has a new coach and a so-so roster. If we were to compare the Big Ten to a spades card game, we would say that there are 4 strong cards and 4 possibilities, 2 of them being weak possibilities. With that said, here's how we rank the Big Ten for the 2019-2020 season. Coming in at number 1 are the Michigan State Spartans. Michigan State will pick back up where they left off last season. This Final Four team will get back 2 of their star players in Joshua Langford and Cassius Winston. Langston went down with an ankle sprain in their final pre-conference game of the season against Northern Illinois. Before going down, Langford averaged 15 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game. Both Nick Ward and Kenny Goins have departed. Therefore, Michigan State will look for Kyle Ahrens and Xavier Tillman to play bigger roles on the team. Michigan State should also look for All-American freshman Rocket Watts and Molly Hall to help make another run to the Final Four. My projected starting 5 for this team is Cassius Winston, Joshua Langford, Aaron Henry, Kyle Ahrens, and Xavier Tillman. Coming in at number 2 are the Maryland Terrapins. I got to admit that I picked this team to win the Big Ten last season, but they came in 5th place and only finished in the second round of the NCAA tournament. But I have to go with Maryland once again because on paper, this is one of the strongest rosters in the Big Ten. The only key player who will be missing from this roster is Bruno Fernando, and his replacement, Makhi Mitchell, has a very similar game and physique as he did. Maryland will bring back 4 out of 5 starters from the 2018-2019 season. This team is going to need to prove that they can put up some points, however. Maryland was ranked 7th in the Big Ten and 204th in the nation in scoring defense. If this team could find a way to put up more points on the board, they could very well win the Big Ten. My projected starting 5 for this team is Anthony Cohen Jr., Eric Ayala, Jalen Smith, Daryl Morsell, and Makhi Mitchell. Coming in at number 3 are the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State is bringing in the best recruiting class in the Big Ten for the 2019-2020 season. On top of that, Ohio State is returning 3 out of 5 starters from the 2018-2019 season, which includes their top scorer, Caleb Wesson. The top 50 freshman in the nation, DJ Carton, is not a tall point guard, but he's quick and could score at will. He is also a very good passer. He'll be joined by 2 other top 50 freshmen, Alonzo Gaffney and E.J. Liddell. Big man Gaffney is skinny, but plays like a big man. He'll post you up and he will explode to the rim. E.J. Liddell, also a big man who can body his way to the rim. Expect Ohio State to improve in all categories. This Ohio State team is going to be very competitive for the 2019-2020 season. Coming in at number 5 is the Illinois Fighting Illini. Whenever a point guard is the second best rebounder on the team, there's a major problem in the front court. Illinois was one of the worst rebounding teams in the nation and the absolute worst in the Big Ten. This team had 4 guards in the starting lineup last season, which included 3 point guards. For this reason, defense also suffered. Thankfully, Illinois will be adding a top 50 big man, Kofi Cockburn, to the roster. He's big, strong, and is a rim protector. Our projected starting 5 for this team is Ayo Dosunmu, Trent Frazier, DeMonte Williams, Georgia Besu-Finley, and Kofi Cockburn. Coming in at number 6 are the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota will heavily depend on transfers to get them to the top of the Big Ten this coming season. Pitt's transfer, Marku Carr, is a pretty good floor general who can score, but it gets better with Drexel's transfer, Alan Demir, who has an all-around game. He can score, rebound, and handle the ball. He averages 14.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game in his final season at Drexel. Vanderbilt's transfer, Peyton Willis, will be looking to prove himself at Minnesota. They'll be joined by Minnesota's top scorers, Gabe Kalsher and Daniel Oturu. This Minnesota team should improve from the 2017-2018 season and should return to the NCAA tournament. Our projected starting 5 for this team is Marcus Carr, Gabe Kalsher, Peyton Willis, Elon Demir, and Daniel Oturu. Coming in at number 7 are the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska is clearly a team where Coach Fred Hoiberg will be building from scratch. This team has all new faces, which include freshmen, undergrads, graduates, and JUCO transfers. However, Coach Hoiberg has the right type of transfers to fit his system. Added is graduate transfer from FGCU, Hanif Cheatham, and Seattle grad transfer Mati Cavez. Both of these players are capable of putting up double-digit scorings and are pretty good at crashing the boards. Also added is Robert Morris transfer Dachon Burke Jr., who was the star of his team prior to leaving. He averaged 17.6 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game in his final season there. Nebraska will also have 2 of the top JUCO recruits in the nation in Cameron Mack and Jarvay Green. Both of them are all-around players who could defend. Expect this team to surprise a lot of people. My projected starting 5 of this team is Cameron Mack, Hanif Cheatham, Dachon Burke, Matij Cavez, and Kevin Cross. Coming in at number 8 are the Penn State Nittany Lions. This is an excellent rebounding team with a lot of size. Expect rebounding and second chance points to increase greatly in 2019-2020. On top of that, Penn State has 4 frequent starters returning from the 2018-2019 season. However, this was not a team that could put up a lot of points, and there hasn't been enough improvement recruiting-wise to address that problem. There seems to be only one player on this team who is capable of putting up double-digit points on a consistent basis. My projected starting 5 for this team is Jamari Willer, Curtis Jones, Miles Dredd, Lamar Stevens, and John Harrar. Coming in at number 9 are the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa may have to prepare for a season without Jordan Bohannon, who will more than likely take a red shirt for the season according to HawkeyeCentral.com. If so, the race for the top of the Big Ten for this team may not be as promising. Iowa will look forward to the return of redshirt power forward Jack Nunge. who took a red shirt to better his game. We will get to see if it pays off this coming season. Forward Cordell Pimpsel should also return after taking a red shirt in 2017-2018. The thing that still concerns me about this team is depth at the point guard position. Without Bohannon, there is not a player on the team who has averaged more than 2 assists per game on average. Expect ball movement to suffer a little. Without Tyler Cook and Jordan Bohannon, can this team score enough points to make up for their lack of defense? To keep scoring as high as it was in 2017-2018, Coach Fred McCaffrey is going to have to give his son, Patrick McCaffrey, a top 100 shooting guard, the green light, along with Valpo's graduate transfer, Bakari Evelyn. My projected starting 5 for this team is Bakari Evelyn, Joe Wieskamp, Patrick McCaffrey, Jack Nunge, and Luka Garza. Coming in at number 10 are the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, I don't understand what's going on with this team this year. Months have passed without this team securing a single commitment for the 2019 class. Wisconsin still has 5 scholarships left to fill as of June 16, 2019. However, when I look at this roster every year around this time, I manage to rank this team somewhere towards the center of the conference, and they always seem to exceed expectations. And when I take a careful look at what Coach Gard is doing, it seems as if he's preparing to make a big impact on the 2020-21 season. It seems to me that he's sort of sacrificing the 2019-2020 season to win big the following season. Just my opinion. Coach Gard is a very good coach, and he has proven that time and time. But his recruiting is kind of strange and questionable. Wisconsin will be missing several key pieces from the 2018-2019 season to start the 2019-20 season. Starters Ethan Happ and Khalil Iverson are gone. However, 3 out of 5 starters are returning from the 2018-2019 season, which include Brad Davison, Demetric Trice, and Nate Ruvers. Wisconsin should look for Brevin Prezell and Aline Ford to play bigger roles next season. Our projected starting 5 for this team is Brad Davison, Demetric Trice, Brevin Pritzel, Aline Ford, and Nate Ruvers. And at number 11 are the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Expect rebounding and defense to remain solid for this team. Rutgers has brought in Stony Brook's transfer Akwasi Yoboa to replace the point guard position left over by Eugene Omoruvi, who transferred to Orland. Other than that, nothing much changes for this team. If this team could find a way to put up more points on the board, they could sit somewhere in the middle of the conference. Our projected starting 5 for this team is Geo Baker, Montez Mathis, Akwasi Yoboa, Shaq Carter, and Isa Thiem. Coming in at number 12 are the Indiana Hoosiers. This team looked confusing at times last season. No identity. The only reason this team stayed competitive is because of the play of Romeo Langford, but now he's gone, and there is not another Romeo Langford coming in. However, they do have Trace Jackson David coming in. He is a top 100 freshman who can shoot and play under the rim. The question is, will he be enough to improve scoring for this team? Our projected starting 5 for this team is Rob Finisse, Aljamain Durham, Justin Smith, Trace Jackson Davis, and Joey Brunk. Coming in at number 13 are the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan made a living for many years off of defense under Coach John Beilein. Michigan was the second best defensive team in the nation last season and the 8th best in the nation the year before that. Defense was Michigan's identity under Coach Beilein, but now he's gone, and he's being replaced by a good to great NBA player who has never coached a Division I basketball team in his life. What people don't know is that without defense, these Michigan teams in the past would have just been average because they were not good offensively. Michigan ranked 10th in the Big Ten and 259th in the nation in scoring offense last season. What would this Michigan team look like under Coach Howard? Our projected starting 5 for this team is Xavier Simpson, Eli Brooks, Cole Majima, Isaiah Livers, and John Tesk. And finally, at number 14 are the Northwestern Wildcats. This team seems to be in rebuild mode. They've lost a lot of players. The problem with this Northwestern team last season was scoring. Northwestern ranked 316th in the nation and dead last in the Big Ten in scoring last season. But scoring should improve slightly with the additions of top 100 freshman Roby Baran and graduate transfer Patrick Spencer. However, Patrick Spencer might be a gamble because he didn't play basketball in college at all. He was a lacrosse star who was once a high school basketball player. It may be a challenge getting to the top of the Big Ten for this team. Our projected starting five is Ryan Greer, Patrick Spencer, A.J. Turner, Miller Cope, and Roby Baran. And so much for that. Now for some college basketball news. The Atlantic Sun will be getting a new member in 2020 with Bellarmine joining the conference. Bellarmine is a private Catholic school that played in Division II competition. The Associated Press reported that UConn is working on plans to rejoin the Big East. And that concludes our needle moving portion of the show. And now on to our new Coach Impact segment of our show. In this new Impact segment of the show, we'll be discussing coaches who have been head coach of a particular basketball team for no more than 5 years and who are on the upper trend towards taking that team to another level. This week's new Coach Impact highlights Ohio State's coach, Chris Holtmann. Coach Holtmann has this Ohio State team ready to compete for the top of the Big Ten. Coach Holtmann is a 3-time Coach of the Year recipient, winning the Big South Coach of the Year in 2013, Big East Coach of the Year in 2017, and the Big Ten Coach of the Year award in 2018. Coach Holtmann finished in the first round of the NCAA tournament both years at Ohio State. But can he lead this Ohio State team deep into the NCAA tournament in 2020? We shall see. Now that concludes our show for this week. Join us next week at the same time and channel for new episodes. We'll be happy to take on your questions and comments on our Twitter for our next episode. Our Twitter handle is at D1CoachCorner. That is at D1CoachCorner. See you next week.